Right now, emulation looks like it's king. Hey tubers, it's Ben the Curious Consumer, and I'm here today to talk to you about what I've been addicted to lately, and that's emulation. I know emulation's been around for a very long time. There's been a lot of different builds out there. You can do it on iPad, you can do it on Android, you can do it on all these little portable consoles. Nintendo's getting into it. Xbox just got into it with their new online software that I forgot the name of it, but I'll tell you in a minute. Yeah. Antstream Arcade is now on Xbox, which is pretty awesome. It's $29 for a year subscription or $79 for a lifetime. Obviously, I went for the lifetime subscription. I love classic arcade games. I have a ton of classic arcade consoles that I've picked up over the years. I'm going to start doing some reviews on some of those because some of those consoles are still available now. And I think it'd be cool for you guys to check out as well if you're into that old school kind of nostalgia feeling. And again, like when we're kids, when I was a kid anyway, I didn't have a ton of money. And so getting a new game was like this big deal. And now you can just get these games on a console. All the games that I didn't get to play when I was a kid, I can get now on a console. But today I want to talk about one specific console made by a company called King Hank. Now, they've been making retro consoles for a very long time. They're a very well-known brand, and I'm sure if you Google search King Hank on YouTube, you'd find 1,000,001 people that have talked about these consoles. Today, I'm going to talk about the one that I have that I received a couple years ago, and I just kind of got into playing it recently, and it is the Super Console X. Now, there are a couple of different renditions of the Super Console X. The one that I have only has 41,000 games on it, but the ones that are, only 41,000. But the ones that are out now go up to like 117,000, 95,000, and they're for affordable prices. Now, again, with these devices, they are Android-based in the background, so there is an Android base in the background running things like RetroArch. These consoles specifically have been built to be plug-and-play. Some of the newer consoles have better internal components, which can actually push some of these games a little better than what this specific unit can. But these consoles are meant for the old school stuff. Now, I've got two little kids at home. I've got a 6-year-old and I've got a 4-year-old, and they've really been into Super Mario Brothers ever since the Super Mario Brothers movie came out, like really into it. So I figured I'd dust this old console off, set it up. Instead of grabbing my actual Nintendo and doing that stuff out of the boxes that I have in storage, I just got one of these little retro gaming consoles, gave it to them to play with, and they're loving it. They're loving every minute of it. But let's take a look at the console real quick. So this here is the King Hank Super Console X. It comes with two controllers, which are very reminiscent of the DualShock controllers for the PlayStation, more so the PlayStation 2 and the PlayStation 3, but they are very light. They're very cheaply made. They have a switch here on the bottom to turn them on and off. Only 2 lights on the top, not the 4 like you would get on PlayStation. You get the thumbsticks and everything like that. They feel more like the DualShock that came with the PlayStation 3 when it first came out. It's that light. So it's the DualShock 6-axis controller feel, but it's not bad as far as button pushing is concerned. It actually feels okay, but it is more of a cheaper made controller. You get these little USB dongles, and these controllers actually use AAA batteries. So they're not rechargeable, but you can go through AAA batteries. And I'll be honest with you, these batteries last forever. And if you leave the controllers on by accident, it does go into like an auto shutdown mode, so you don't have to worry about wasting all of the battery power while you just left it there by accident. But let's take a look at the console, a little closer look here. It does look kind of the similar colors of the old Super Nintendo or Nintendo console, where it has the dark gray, the light gray, and the black printing with the red print on it. And if you look at the top here, it looks like this is a button. It's not. It's not a power button. The power button's on the back. We'll get to that in a second. It looks like it has a little cartridge slot, but there's nothing that goes in there. If you go around to the front, there's nothing here on the front side. You go to the side, this is where you have your 2 USB ports and then your micro SD card. Now, mine is a 128 gigabyte model, which I'm pretty sure is not full as far as what's on this particular console. On the back, we have an AV out, an Ethernet jack, full-size HDMI, the power port, and the power button, and on the other side, there's nothing here as well. The bottom, there's a lot of ventilation here with some foot pads, but they're very low power system, runs off of 1 amp, 12 volts, 1 amp. and it comes with a little power cord there. But this console here has 41,000 games in it in a various degree of different consoles. So let's jump into this, and we'll take a look and see what this console actually has, and talk about the performance. All right, so you're going to see here it does have its own Android splash screen. It's going to pop right up here, Emulec, and then, of course, it's going to jump into the King Hank splash video, which is pretty cool, actually. Pretty well edited, I think. It looks cool. I'm not going to play the music for you, just in case there's any copyright issues here. But if you take a look here, it's got a whole bunch of classic games in there. A couple of really classics that you can recognize that's on the screen. And then, of course, King Hank Games Retro on the screen there. So that here you go. It's going to load in, and then it's going to give me a basic screen of all the different consoles here. And you can change this. I'm saying this specifically, and I'm only going over this video, not to go into great detail as far as how to customize what this console can and can't do. What I am doing in this video is just basically trying to show you what it has on it already for plug-and-play purposes. You can, however, get into different menus here and change some of the settings. You can get into RetroArch and do some of that stuff. You can add your own games. I'm not going to do that in this video. And you can actually adjust some of the settings to have things run at faster speeds, things like that. I'm not going to do that in this video. So we're just going to talk about the basics of what comes in here. So for you, if you're just going to get this thing just to play out of the box, this is what you can expect. So you can see here as we go through, we've got a whole bunch of different gaming options here, from Vectrex, Virtual Boy, to Amiga, Nintendo, Atari, Lynx, like all of these different consoles. Yes, it does go up like Dreamcast, and some of the Dreamcast games run okay, most of them a little slow, but it does work. Game Boy, Game Boy Advanced, Genesis, and Television, MAME. MAME's probably the big one for me. It has 1,900 games in there of the classic arcades and different things, emulations there, which is pretty cool. Sega Master System, Genesis, Nintendo 64, Naomi, the DS, which DS, take it or leave it, Nintendo, Neo Geo. The DS, the reason why I say DS, take it or leave it, is because it has dual screen, and having dual screen support on this console is kind of tough. PSP, there are some games in there that will play, some games that are kind of tough to play, obviously. PlayStation works flawless. Sega CD, SG-1000. So these are the consoles that you can look into. Now, as far as I know what you're thinking, a lot of these retro consoles that you talk about or see on the internet typically have games that are repeated multiple times down the list, and that does happen here as well. But when you have the games repeated on the list that I see here anyway, it's mostly for region-specific games. So you may see two games that one's a United States and one's a PAL version. One's NTSC, one's PAL. So there's those things that happen in this menu system as well. But let's go in. Let's just take a look. Here's 1,200 games on the Super Nintendo, and we could take a look here. Again, you would think the way the controller is set up is actually pretty funny. The way the controller is set up, it has the ABXY on it, very similar to the Nintendo specific style of controller where they have the XY on it. You would think the A is the button to push for any actions. It's actually the circle button, or sorry, the B button. I say circle because that's the PlayStation, right? So it's actually the B button to select. So if I click on that, you can see here's Aladdin. You've got a whole bunch of different types of games here. Fatal Fury. I mean, there's classics. You do still get the Marios, you get the Mortal Kombats. It's pretty sick. And the funny part is with some of these, the codes actually work. So remember, Mortal Kombat originally didn't have blood in it. You can put the blood code in, and it does work. So that's pretty cool. There are some little things that are like little hiccups here and there on the console, but nothing that makes it like out of the ordinary. Like if you've never or haven't played in a long time, you're really not going to notice if there's any kind of little glitch or things like that. Now, again, frame rates and things like that, typically the games like this will run perfectly fine. It's when you get to the higher games like the Dreamcast, the PSP, those are where the games start to kind of get a little choppy. N64 as well. You can go through pages and pages and pages of all of these games to see different games on here. I mean, I'm not going to go through the entire list, but there is a ton to go through. Tons and tons of games, and that's just what's on the pages here really quickly. But I will say the thing that bugs me is if I'm in the menu for a specific game and I'm not using the page up or page down option, I'm just scrolling so I want to see what's through it. If I hit left or right by accident, it'll go to the next video game console library that's on the list here. So if I go in, I'm going to do that right now. If I'm in Super Nintendo and I accidentally hit left or right, it's going to go to the console that's next to it, right? So I could be scrolling down, and look, it just did it. I just pressed scroll down, and it flicked over because apparently it read the left or right movement. So that's kind of a thing with these controllers. I mean, your mileage is going to vary with these things. They are, like I said, third-party controllers that are just, they're not as good as the original like Sony PlayStation controllers, but it kind of gets the job done. Anyway, Sega 32X, there's a bunch of great titles here that you can look into. We'll go into PSP and see how PSP runs. So here's Castlevania, I believe I picked. Yeah. All right, so here we are jumping into Castlevania. It looks like it's running pretty smooth. It's got the full cut scene, everything like that. Let's see if we can just jump into the game. Dracula X Chronicles. We'll press the start button, and we will start the game. Now, here's the funny part, where I just told you a minute ago that this button was your enter button. This button turns into your enter button now when you're in a PlayStation game because it's very similar to the PlayStation button layout. So I think you can change that in the settings. I haven't tried it, but I think you can change that in the settings. All right, so we're gonna do player one. I'm just gonna go down here and say okay, and let's just start the game and see how it runs. There it is in all of its glory. PlayStation, I'm not going to put the sound up here. I'm just going to let it play on its own. If I do put the sound in, I'll put it down really low. But here it is, playing the game. Look, he's throwing his thing. I have this game actually on my PlayStation Portable, so let's see if I can get to the gameplay. All right. Yeah, it doesn't look all too bad. Okay. Can I jump up there? Yeah, I think I can. Come on, buddy. Oh, he got me. Anyway, so that's PlayStation Portable. Let's see what happens if we go into Dreamcast. Something a little bit harder to run. Dreamcast right here. So let's get into something that was harder to play. Let's do, you know what? Let's see if they have it. Ikaruga is a great game. But let's do Soul Calibur. Let's see what this looks like. Classic. All right, loading right up there. So good. Sound effects are sick. I'm just kidding. That's just me doing the sound effects. All right, let's see. What do we got here? Yeah, licensed by Sega. Well, one thing's for sure. The load times are a little quicker. But, all right, so let's see. Let's jump into a little Soul Calibur here. Namco. That's how they did it, if you don't remember. Classic. Oh, there's a little glitch. As you can see, again, not perfect. The newer consoles will actually play this with no problems. This is an older one again. All right, let's get into arcade. Let's just do that. Oh, let's do Kilk was my dude. I'm terrible. I haven't played this game in years, so don't expect anything crazy. Yeah, a lot of graphical glitches here. It is what it is. But other than that, it runs smooth. Oh, man, I got beat up. Whoa, no. Come on, dude. Get over here. Give me that. Wow, I'm terrible at this game. Okay. Oh, nice. Anyway. So like I said, some of the bigger titles, again, this is my older console. This console that I got was probably like 5 or 6 years old. So the newer consoles will have better components built into them, so it will run smoother. The console that I have, again, was older, so some of these older titles don't necessarily work all that well. And again, it's a select few. Some of the titles will work, some of the titles won't work, and that's the problem with emulation now. It's not perfect. But if you can get an option where you can play about 90% of the games that you always wanted to play in your lifetime and never had an opportunity to, these are pretty cool options for you if you're thinking about jumping in. I am going to leave links in the description below. By no means do you have to buy this device. I'm not here to tell you to buy this device. I'm just telling you about what my whole addiction is right now, is this whole retro game market. I got this console as a gift from my brother, so I didn't receive this from King Hank to do a review on it. But King Hank typically does build pretty good emulation software and stuff like that for his stuff. He's selling it all on Amazon. So I'll leave a link in the description below if you're looking for this. It'll be the consoles that have the higher amount of games, like 90,000 or 100,000 games on it. So I will leave the link in the description below. And if you use that link, it does help out the channel a little bit. But again, you don't have to go and buy that. So I probably should have started the video with telling you, you don't have to go buy this stuff. I've been getting a lot of comments about that. People saying, oh, I wish YouTubers would tell you if this is going to be a sales pitch. It's not a sales pitch. I'm just saying, if this is something you're interested in checking out, here's an easy way to get to it, and it does work. So if you're interested in doing that, hit the link down below. If not, not a big deal. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope I answered some questions for you. I know I didn't get into super great detail about how to do a lot of the adjustments to this, but if it is something that you'd like to see, leave it in the comments down below. I'll maybe make another video about that. But if you are looking for something retro, check it out. Retro stuff is awesome. There are also, again, like I said, if you're in the budget and you're in the market for it, you could always buy something like a mini PC and get some of these hard drives that you could buy on Amazon right now that have a ton of retro games on it. But anyway, that's a story for another time. Thanks again, guys, for watching. I am Ben, the Curious Consumer, and I do appreciate you guys stopping by. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button down below. And if you do, hit that notification button. It notifies you every time I make a video. Tell your friends to check out the channel. It's always a good place to be. Guys, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you. As always, stay curious, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.